Hi, kindergarten. Today we're going to read Mrs. McNosh and the Great Big Squash. We have already read this story, Mrs. McNosh Hangs Up Her Wash, and this is written by the same person, and it also has the same character, this Mrs. McNosh, and I want you to realize that McNosh and wash rhyme, and in this book, McNosh and squash rhymes. Now, we remember Mrs. McNosh, she hung up some very silly things up on her clothesline. Wonder if she's going to be silly in this book as well. Let's find out. It's also by Sarah Weeks, same author, and pictures by Nadine Westcott, same illustrator. Let's see if we can find the title page. Here it is. It gives us the title, Mrs. McNosh and the Great Big Squash, and the author and illustrator. The first day of spring, Mrs. Nellie McNosh went out to her garden and planted a squash. She pushed the seed in with the tip of her toe, and the minute she did it, it started to grow. I don't know about you, but my plants do not grow that fast. At first it was round and as big as a head. In fact, it looked just like the paperboy Fred. Then it turned yellow and bumpy and fat. It rolled from the garden and flattened the cat. He does not look happy about that. It knocked over trash cans and ran over toes. It twisted the sprinkler and plugged up the hose. It crashed through the clothesline and smashed through the fence, scaring the pants off two elderly gents. Here's her clothesline. Do you remember her clothesline from the other story? Poor Nellie was worried. She said, "Oh my gosh, there's got to be some way to slow down this squash." She slapped it and scolded it, pinched it and kicked it, and then she took a hold of its stem and she picked it. Now what do I do? Wondered Mrs. McNosh. I've got to find something to do with this squash. There isn't a place in the world it will fit. It's as big as a house. Wait, said Nellie. That's it. What do you think she's going to do? What is she going to do with that big squash? Let's find out. And so, by the light of a big yellow moon, she scooped and she scraped with a long-handled spoon. And when the sun rose, where was Mrs. McNosh? Looks like she's taking all the insides out of the squash. What is she going to do with it? Where was she? Curled up and sound asleep in her big yellow squash. Oh, it got silly at the end, didn't it? Well, really, the squashes don't get that big, but she turned that squash into her house. It got as big as a house. Isn't that a fun book? Thank you for joining me today.